The TrekWorks YouTube channel is sponsored by Tenna Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenna Controls brings your models to life. And by HDA ModelWorks, suppliers of scale model lighting products, detail parts, and complete model kits. Visit HDAModelWorks.com today. Hello there and welcome fellow modelers. This is part one of our classic Star Trek shuttlecraft Galileo build series here on the TrekWorks channel. I'm Boyd Crompton, glad to be back with you guys again. It's been a little while since we've done a Star Trek build here on the channel. We've got our 350 scale Reliant that's out having some photo etch parts made, and it'll be a little while before that one's ready, so we're going to be working on this really great little kit from Randy Cooper. Some of you guys may know that Randy's a really great garage kit supplier out there. He produces several of these really fantastic resin kits, and this is his example of the classic shuttlecraft Galileo, or it could be called the Columbus, or whatever other names they used on the original series television show for the different shuttlecraft. But we're doing this one as the classic Galileo 7, and I referenced the episode Galileo 7 from the first season of Star Trek for my details that I'll be doing and my color references and all that, so that's what we're kind of going with. Now this kit is I don't think Randy ever announced exactly what scale this kit is, but in looking at it, I'm coming up with somewhere around 1/30th scale. The reason I came to that conclusion is I've been kind of playing around with some figures here. I thought about maybe doing some figures on the interior. I ultimately decided not to do that, but I had some figures from the AMT Star Trek Bridge kit, and they were obviously too small, and I think those are supposed to be around 1/35th scale. And then I tried a 1/24 scale NASCAR driver figure that I had just kind of sitting in the seat, and he seemed a little bit too big. So it's somewhere in between 1/24th to and 1/35th. So I'm saying right around 1/30th scale or somewhere. But it's a really nice size. It's about a foot long, maybe a little bit over a foot long when it's fully built. But it's just a beautifully detailed and very accurate kit, the most accurate Galileo kit you'll find anywhere, and it's a lot of fun. It's a solid resin kit, so if you choose to do some lighting on this, which it begs for that, which all Star Trek kits do for the most part, it needs a lot of work to make that happen because everything's solid, and you have to drill and channel and do a lot of planning and thinking about how you're going to get your wiring to certain areas, especially down here to the engine nacelles and all your interior lighting and all that. So I've been working on that. You can see I've got the engine nacelles here. Now originally these are one long length of round stock there, but in order to get some wiring in there, I didn't have a drill bit long enough because we had to hollow these out so I can pass wires all the way through. And I'll explain here in just a few minutes about what we've been doing on all this stuff. We're going to have a slideshow here first coming up in just a second that's going to show some detailed pictures of the work I've been doing on the individual parts to get up to this point that I'm at right now. Here's the work I've been doing on the control console, and I think that's a beautiful detail. It's very accurate to the original that we saw on when they showed interior shots of the Galileo, and then our color scheme and everything. As I mentioned, I referenced from the remastered episode the Galileo 7, and I'm going to have a couple of screen grabs here so you can see where I got the information about the different colors that we used. Here is the upper half of the hull, which is absolutely beautiful. I love these curved panels here, something we never saw in the old AMT kit, and this detail here at the back is just absolutely gorgeous, exactly like the regular shuttlecraft. And I've been just kind of getting this all smoothed out and cleaned up and ready for paint. I've got to come back here and do some scribe lines. There's supposed to be some panel detail, basically sort of a T shape, a line that goes across here and another line that comes back, but that's going to be easy to take care of. But I've been working on the interior of this, And here are my colors. Now, when we see these screen grabs in a second, you'll see that we had sort of a light mint green color on the walls, and on the rear bulkhead door here we had a darker green color, darker green accents on these kind of swing out scanners, and a darker green color here on the flight console. So I kind of copied that, and then we had some almost peach colored or really light tan colored accent colors here on the tops of the ceiling, and then down along the sides at the bottom of the walls. So we've got all that done, and of course we did our dark gray carpeting here. It's sort of indoor-outdoor type carpeting. Got that all done. But the main part that I've been doing, as you can see here, is I've been routing wiring through here, and in some of the pictures you'll see in the slideshow, you'll see exactly what I had to do to make that work. We've also got this overhead lighting panel here, and I'll have a few pictures of what we did to work on that. And it took a little bit of time to get that figured out. So let's go ahead with the slideshow, and we'll come back right after that, and we'll talk about where we're going to be going forward on this and what we're going to be working on next. See you right back in just a couple seconds. Enjoy the slideshow, everybody. Okay, well, we're back from the video slideshow, and I hope that caught you guys up on everything that we've been doing so far. As you can see, there's a little bit of work to do here, but nothing, you know, so challenging that it's impossible to do. Everything can be worked out. You just have to take your time a little bit and work with everything, and mainly do a lot of pre-planning on how you're going to lay everything out. Now, talking about the lighting on this one, I'm going to actually be using the Tenna Controls 1/1000th scale TOS Enterprise Bassard kit for this. So we'll actually get some working rotating bassards at the front of this. I've seen several of these builds where people have used the the multi-color changing RGBs, and those look okay. They look pretty good, but I really wanted to have a nice rotating effect in this, so I've modified these parts to take that into account. I've had to, kind of hollow out these little end caps here, and we've got our little crystals and everything ready to go. I talked to Ralph at Tenna Controls, and he told me that the little round boards that we have for that are actually exactly 1/2 inch. So I've got these set up to be just slightly larger than a 1/2 inch, so they're going to drop right in there and look really nice. We'll get a really cool, counterclockwise and clockwise rotating effect, just like on the big Starship Enterprise engines. Now, in order to do that, we've got to run our wiring all the way through this tube. What my plan is I'm going to, here at the rear, if I can get this held up for you, as you can see, what I did here is I marked these parts with this one having a double line and the other a single line, so I can line these back up exactly when I go ahead and glue them all back together and do my putty work, and they'll be nice and straight and everything. But we've got to run our wires through. I'm also going to light up the little caps at the rear in sort of a white. So we had to have these completely hollowed out. Now my problem is I didn't have a drill bit that was this long, and I didn't want to try to drill halfway and connect the other way. I was worried about going crooked or something like that. So I just cut them in half, and then I just drilled straight through with the bit that I had, and it worked out really good. So we're going to run our wires through this, and then right up in this area right here, let's see, I think this is the top. Where it attaches to our little pylons here, we're going to bring our wire out of the top of this. Now on the bottom of this, I've got these all trenched out. If you can see these little trenches right here, and our wiring will come out of our nacelle, go up in here and up inside this little cubby hole in the back, which you can't see once the bulkhead's in place there. My control board will be mounted in here, and all my wiring will terminate here. What I'm going to do is, this is going to be permanently secured onto a base, so coming out of the front, I don't want to see any wires, so coming out of the front of this here, we've got our little landing feet that stick out on the bottom of this, and they have the little peg, that goes up in here, and it sits on that. Well, that peg is, it's probably thick enough where if I was really careful and drilled through that, I could pass wires and then come out the bottom of the foot and into the floor of my base, and you'll never see the wires. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those pegs off, and I'm going to go to the hobby store and get some just slightly bigger diameter brass tubing, and cut that to the same length, and glue that in place and everything, and then it'll be nice and sturdy, and it'll be hollow so that I can pass my wires through there. And you won't notice that size is just slightly bigger than it was supposed to be. I'll try to get it as close as I can, but unless you knew exactly what that was supposed to be, you won't notice any difference at all. So we'll have our wiring, coming up through our base, all the way through up into the model, and we've got this trench work that we've done on both sides here. And what we'll do is, once that's all in place, I'll glue it all down so it's flat, and then we're going to take some putty and come back in here and keep layering it on until we have it back to where it's flush, and we'll sand it all out smooth at the same time. And we fix these seams here on the top and the bottom, and we'll get that all filled in, and you'll never know those wires are there. So that'll work out really good. So that's the plan for that. Now, as you saw in the slideshow there, I did trench work on this side over here to bring this wire up here, which is going to power up our flight console. I'm waiting for some parts to come in. I ordered some really cool multi-speed flashing RGBs that are SMDs, not the regular LED RGBs, which are, by RGB we mean the multiple color changing LEDs. But Jerry at HDA ModelWorks has recently started carrying some miniature SMD type color changing RGBs, and he has ones that change at a fast rate and change at a slow rate, and he's also got another set that they start off slow and then they begin changing colors rapidly, all on their own without having to be hooked up to a control board. So we're going to put some RGB multiple colored color changing RGBs over in this side here, so it has that cool little effect like it did on the show. And then we're going to put some flashing, just regular flashing SMDs here along the wall. And you can see what I've done here is I trenched out this wall, which will actually sit on this side over here. And so when you look in the door, you have these little computer consoles that were in between each of these passenger seats. They're actually over on this side too. I'm not going to bother lighting the ones on this side because you will not be able to see those from, you know, when your angle looking in the door, and basically looking in through the windshield, they're going to be hard to see too. So I'm only going to light the ones on this side, but we're going to put some flashing SMDs right here in the same plan. We're going to glue these down in here, and each one of these spots, probably a couple different colored ones, and then get them all laid down on their flat and come back and putty over everything except the little square areas that I've opened up here, which are little computer screens that we have. Will lay down over the top, or they're actually little, you know, rectangle resin parts. We'll lay those down over the top of that, and drill a couple holes in them and put some fiber optics in those, and they'll be nicely lit, and we'll have that all covered up and looking really nice. So when you look in the door, you'll have some lit computer screens there. So that'll be pretty cool. And so that's kind of the plan. Once we get it all tied together, we'll connect all of our wiring back here, tie it all in from the top to the bottom, and get it tucked in there nice and neat. Same thing up in the front. And then this gets closed down, put together, and we've got to mask off our glass and our open hatchway here, and then we're going to be doing all of our body work, getting this seam here fixed, getting this seam all the way around the perimeter here cleaned up really nice and everything, and then we're going to be painting it. Now what my plan is I'm really worried about getting any kind of overspray on the windows if it gets on the inside. If you ruin this glass at all, it really downgrades the build as far as I'm concerned. That glass has to be like perfectly clean, and we also don't want to get any overspray inside the model. So what my plan is going to be is in the next video you guys will see that I'm going to actually go ahead and paint this entire upper half here. I'm going to put the decals on it. I'm going to completely clear coat it, get it all pointed up real nice, and then I'm going to mask it all off so that all we're going to have to deal with is just this little area right here when we go to do our putty work and everything, and paint the bottom half where we can totally, I can leave the windows completely covered up, I can leave this completely covered up and not have to worry about it. And so when we finish doing our putty work and getting it glued together and everything, all we have to do is mask off, a little bit away from it, and just come back with some touch-up paint and some clear and just blend that all in and make it look all tidied up, and then we'll paint the bottom at the same time, paint the nacelles and all that. So that's what my plan is on this. But like I said, it fits together really good, it looks good, it's going to come out real nice. I'm real pleased with the kit, and it'll be a beautiful little Galileo display. I'll show you guys in the next video too, if you happen to buy this kit, the decals that come with the kit, they're so-so. I noticed on a couple of the builds that I've seen out there that the decals looked really thick on them, like you could see the edges of the decals, and that's something that really bothers me. So I had Jerry at HDA Model Works also make me a really nice set of aftermarket decals for this. And the cool thing about that was Jerry, I and a few of the other people from some of the modeling forums a couple years ago, we went and visited the actual Galileo 7 prop that's at the Johnson Space Center. You guys probably saw the video on my channel. And we took high-resolution photos of all the little detail markings that are on this that don't come on the decal set that you get that comes with this kit. And Jerry reproduced all those, so we'll be able to put all the accurate markings on it, both inside and out. And they're done on some really thin decal film, so we'll be able to lay them down nice and smooth. And I'm going to put a really nice gloss clear coat on this, and maybe wet sand it a couple times to get rid of those edges and make this look really nice and clean. So before we sign off here, I'm going to get it set up really quick, guys, and show you a little bit of lighting on it really quick, just to give you an idea of how this is going to turn out. Be right back with that. Okay, everybody, well, here's a little quick shot of the lighting that we're going to have on the interior and at the rear of this thing so far. I'll get the camera down in here, and you can see we've got our there's our overhead panel, which as I talked about, I worked really hard on that to get that to look lit nice and even and everything, and get rid of all those hot spots. And you can see going right through that styrene sheet plastic, it lights up really nice. There's about 4 strips of LED tape in there, but I used warm white. I didn't want it to look too fluorescent, like we had the look of the old 1960s. There you can see. Unfortunately, in this model, when you get it all closed up, you lose a little bit of the detail, but you can get in there and see it for the most part. Here you can see along those walls where we'll be able to see those computer screens. So I want to make sure I get that done. Here's a look in the front window. So you can see the rear bulkhead and the seats and everything. And our console there at the front. We've got that little round piece that goes on there too, that sort of radar grid or whatever it is. Don't want to put that on yet, I'm afraid of breaking it off. But we'll swing around the back here and look at the lighting on the back panel. I really like this. If you look close, you can see that they have that little insert piece that has that classic Star Trek grid work in there with the sort of octagon shapes. We've got that laid in there really nice. Don't pay any attention to this down here. There's a complete panel that goes over that closes all that up. We're going to have this little area right here, which I think is supposed to be an impulse engine or something. I'm going to light that with some flickering orange LEDs to make it look like it's kind of sitting there idling or something. That'll be kind of cool. I know, as I said, I want to go completely Canon on this, but I think that's maybe what they intended that to be back there. Somebody might be able to correct me, but it's painted red on the original full-size prop, so I'm assuming that's what it is. But we'll get that all those light leaks fixed up, and once all the gaps are filled in and everything, that's going to look gorgeous. And we're going to light the little caps here in the back in white, and we'll have our little spinning bassards on the front, and that'll be it. One more look at the interior. And those colors are coming through really nice. Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed our little part 1 of our build series here. I'm really having fun with this one, and we'll show you more in part 2. We'll be moving on to getting the parts of the hull painted, and hopefully I'll have some of my electronics here by then. And we'll show you some more lighting on the flight console and the little computer monitors and all that just before we get ready to close it all up. So we'll see you with that in just a little while. Until we do, take care out there everybody, and happy modeling.